Barry Ritholtz writing brilliantly as he can do on the emotion of our American labor economy. Barry, I did the same thing you did. Work on your feet when we were kids. I'm not working on my feet now. I'm sitting down and very comfortable as you are. There's a time where we didn't, and there's a resounding scream, you say, that we're done working on our feet. And that's this shift that we see in lower wage economy.
Yeah, that's right. Every time I speak to a restaurant owner and they complain about not being able to find help, the first question is always, what are you paying? And then the second question is, hey, during the year of lockdown, did you stay in touch with staff? Are you plugged into what they're doing and whether they're still in the industry? And when we look at both the quits rate at record highs and the number of new business formations, it's pretty clear that a lot of people who were otherwise occupied during the pandemic have formed new companies, have shifted careers, and they are no longer in those low-wage, dead-end jobs that are so hard to fill today.
What do those industries do?
I don't know. I was just reading a piece the other day about offering 401ks to waiters and bartenders. I'm honestly stymied by that. I don't know how to find workers to tend bar or wash dishes or be waiters. I remember it as a very challenging job that was, even if you were very good and worked hard, so much of your compensation was dependent on forces outside of your control, whether it's a restaurant review or even the weather. Bad weather keeps people at home. And so people during the past year, I think, made a decision to level up, to increase their skill set, and to find new careers rather than just sitting around. It's not that people are lazy and collecting unemployment. It's the exact opposite. People took that money as an opportunity to make a better potential economic circumstance.
But Barry, if you pay people enough, they'll do anything, right? I mean, at a certain point, not anything, but, you know, if you raise the wages, you get a much bigger potential labor pool, especially at a time when we see small businesses looking to hire at the greatest proportion, going back in data at least to 2010. Don't you expect wages perhaps to increase even more perhaps than some people are expecting or pricing in?
Yes and no. For certain high-end restaurants where the economics make sense, let's talk about restaurants because there seem to be the focus. There are some great restaurants that are great businesses, but the restaurant industry is a very difficult business with a whole lot of room to go wrong and not a whole lot of margin. And so while we can raise wages for minimum wage burger flippers from $7.50 to $15 or ice cream scoopers, a larger sort of middle of the road restaurant that's not charging $50 for a steak, they're going to have a hard time breaking even if their staff costs go up. Yeah. You know, people forget food is like the least expensive cost input into a restaurant. It's rent and wages. Those are the big cost inputs. It's a really challenging circumstance for anything other than the very high end or the very low end.
Barry, this to me is one of the most important conversations to be having, especially after the consumer price index coming in incredibly hot, hotter than all expectations, with rises across the board in pricing in restaurants, in hotels, in airplanes, in cars, which accounted for 1/3 of the increase in that overall index. At what point is this positive for the economy? And at one point, is it really negative if a lot of people are sort of stuck in not getting that many higher wages because of the constraints that you're talking about in the business models at the lower end?
Right. So it depends on where you're looking in the economy. And I think we have to be very careful to distinguish between, transitory has already become a cliche, but things that are temporary spot shortages that are affiliated with the problem of reopening. There's a Bloomberg news story today that year to date, lumber is flat. Now, that's transitory defined. Lumber has blown up over the past 2 years. On the other hand, the price that small businesses are paying for work trucks have gone up because you can't find them. Used trucks have exploded in price. So some of this is going to be transitory. The wage increases, once you give people a raise, you can't take that back. Gas prices will fall, lumber prices will fall, car prices will go back to normal. But those wage increases are going to be sticky.
All right, Barry, I got one question, 10 seconds. Are you changing your investment approach because of the new higher inflation?
No, not at all. And that's why we look at this transitory inflation as, hey, it's a temporary bump, and then things will sort of reset back to normal.
Got to leave it there. Barry Ritholtz, thank you so much. Really brilliant there.